Hello and welcome to Level Up and Friends. We're continuing our free comic book day preview extravaganza for 2023. This week I'm being joined by our musical guest this year, Super Thrash Brothers. As usual, I'm Scott, and today I'm joined by.
I'm Nick, the bassist, better known as Skull Kid.
And I'm the Poe collector, play guitar.
Nice, I got a couple of Zelda characters here with me today.
Oh yeah.
So how long have you guys been playing music?
Uh, with Thrash Bros in general, it's been 2016, so 7-ish years, seven like that, and then individually, we got to be working on what 2005, 2006. I think I started. I was 12 years old.
Yeah, like 17,
Yeah.
15, 17 years, somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere 17, almost 18 years. Quite a while.
Yeah, once you start thinking about how many years something's been, it's like, wow, I guess it has been.
It,
'Cause you guys are coming up on a decade then.
yeah, it seems
Yeah.
that way, huh?
Why become a video game cover band?
Uh, it was kind of just an opportunity that popped up. I mean, for me personally, it was an opportunity that popped up. It was like, I remember being younger, probably 14, 15, and I remember wanting to play like Green Hill Zone from Sonic. Just some stuff that came up, like, oh, this would be a cool idea. And then you just forget about it. You just never get around to it. Nobody else is doing it, whatever the case may be. And then a couple of years later is when that opportunity popped up. It was Ryan Mega Man said something on Facebook. Actually, there was a post he made, and almost everybody that's in Thrash Bros now hopped right on that. I remember answering that immediately. I popped right on that, and I was like, dibs on bass, and that's that's how that started. But it's a combination of things that you enjoy doing. They just happen to go hand in hand very well. The music, especially for some of this older stuff, was written, only written with a couple channels, but it had to be written very well. Not that the new stuff isn't good, but like the old stuff had to be written that way to sound good, so it just translates very well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Um, why why did you guys choose to perform as video game characters, and why did you pick the characters you did? Because I know you're both Zelda like characters from Zelda, but like none of you are like the main character. You
Mm.
know, like Skull Kid and Ocarina of Time is like an easily missable little side thing.
Mm-hmm. Um. Well.
Try not to be too cliche about it. You know.
Fair.
I mean, back in the day when we first picked characters, I think we originally picked characters for. I couldn't actually tell you the reason. I think we just thought it would be funny and just decided to do it. Like we would stand out more or something.
Hmm.
Like we didn't take this seriously at all when we started. Like it was a joke. We were playing this as like a show between other bands that we were playing in at shows. Like we all had like two or three bands that were playing at these shows, and then we would all just kind of like scramble and play this one real quick in the middle of it, and then go back to
Okay.
what we were doing. So
Yeah.
it was just to be funny at first, but um, I couldn't tell you why I picked the Majora mask specifically. I remember I wanted something over my face. I believe is what that was, and then that was the one that popped to mind specifically. And then over time, it just it just evolved. I ended up doing the whole costume and then changed it over to the old school uh, Skull Kid mask. Um, I mean, Poe collector. What?
Yeah, well, I was the sheep first, but
Yeah, he was
uh,
Sheik first for a little
Okay.
while.
yeah, I don't know. It was easy. Well, first the sheep was easy to move in. I could see and I could move, and I like to move when I play. Uh, the Poe collector is just a little more sinister, I guess. It's cooler. I don't know. It's a little more around my style, so that's kind of what I went with.
Makes
That's
sense.
really it. I don't have anything special about that, to be honest with you.
It looks
But
cool in the lights, looks cool on the
yeah,
camera.
yeah, and I got the
Yeah.
giant red dot. It's cool.
Yeah, when you're on stage, and like I said, a while ago, like we play really well with the lights off for whatever reason. When if you come to see us and the lights are off, it's an entirely different show. It's really cool. It just the whole vibe changes.
Yeah. So, like you said, you've had different iterations of your costume over the years. Like how do you make them, or do you guys like, or they're not off the rack, obviously, but because I've never seen Poe Collector at Spirit Halloween. I mean, I wish I lived in a world where like we could, because that would be awesome.
Oh, that would be convenient.
Yeah.
And cheaper.
It would be a lot cheaper. Yeah, yeah. No, it's all pretty much handmade. I mean, or at least now it is. Like we were doing like for a while we were just using like bits and pieces of whatever we would find around, and then we started getting into like doing it in layers, like morph suits, and then other stuff on top of that, and then it just started getting into like the whole Skull Kid costume that you see. I sewed that from. I cut it, measured it, sewed it. I made it myself. It took me like a week. I just stayed up for like a week straight, just making it.
Yeah.
The masks, I had them custom made. I was buying them from people that knew how to like resin cast when I didn't know how to do any of that. So I had these people make it, and I was paying like 250 per mask, I think, and I went through like 3 of them.
No, man.
And then yeah, and then I ended up coming to the Skull Kid mask. It was $40. But I think I had
Yeah.
somebody resin cast that too. But then we modified it. Like we stuck the LEDs in it and put the black mesh behind it. Like made it really cool. Try to make it as true as possible, while also making it so, like he said, so you can move in it. That's usually a challenge. Is trying to make it look the same, but making it so you can also use it is very difficult for these things.
Oh yeah, I'm sure when they designed this, better part of 30 years ago at Nintendo, they weren't thinking someone was actually needed to move around.
That would be extremely convenient.
Let's say the Poe Collector in the game's what like 2 animations, swings his legs and then he shakes his thing.
Yeah, it's a sitting down.
Yeah.
That doesn't help. Yeah.
But I mean that's cool. Like something people don't even think about. Like that's an extra challenge beyond just like if you were a normal cosplayer, like being able to walk around is one thing, but be able to be like entertaining on stage and play an instrument that requires, some level of dexterity,
Yeah.
and being aware of your surroundings. I'm sure you don't want to accidentally like walk off the stage.
So
it's more of somebody else running into you,
Yeah,
which
so-
happens a lot.
yeah, we run into each other quite a bit, or we used to anyway. We've gotten better with it. We've actually modified a lot of our gear and a lot of like I guess you could call them like backstage rules
Mm-hmm.
to like to try to limit that as much as possible. Like we tell our front guys, like the master hand and the crazy hand, we tell them don't like run across the stage because like especially for like me, like I can't see at all. Like when I have that thing on, I can't see anything. And especially now, like with that mask changing, and we put the LEDs in there, the LEDs sit like this deep, so they're like, I mean, you can't hear it on the camera, but like
Yeah.
they sit right in front of my eye. Like if you were to push that mask, like it would poke me in both of the eyes. I wouldn't be able, to.
Yeah.
So it makes it it makes it very challenging. Plus, if you're just like trying to do this, you don't want anybody hitting the headstock. If you're just trying to play, but it still happens from time to time, but we've done things like eliminate all the cables on the stage. Like we've gone full wireless because we don't want
nice.
people tripping. Like it creates an obstacle for sure.
Yeah, best to minimize any kind of potential shenanigan or like area for trouble is probably good in general for whatever you're trying to do, especially if you're purposefully limiting your own ability to see.
Yeah, it's for the cool factor, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
when if you're standing in the audience and you look up and I'm looking at you like dead in the eyes with those lights and everything, it's such a cool thing. Like I've seen it from the pictures anyway. Like it looks
Yeah.
really cool, but in all reality, I can't even see you. So
Yeah.
like I'm looking down like that, but there's
Well, it's good to
I
know
can
that you're
barely see.
just always effortlessly cool then. When you're doing your thing.
That's the
If you're
goal.
not
Like,
posing.
that's it. Most of the time, my eyes are closed and I'm sitting there trying to count. Like, like I'm just struggling to hold on. But like, it looks really cool from the outside. So that's that's worth it.
So you mentioned, Master and Crazy Hands. So like your performance sort of has like a story element now, right?
Uh, yeah, it's kind of evolved to that
Mm-hmm.
where we started bringing in skits and like mini games and all kinds of cool stuff.
Because like mini games, because you're clearly video game themed. Like having mini games in it's pretty fun.
Yeah,
So is it give a chance for like the audience to interact, or
yeah, yeah. That's the
yeah,
reason we brought both of them in. Was specifically because like I'm sure you remember from like older comic book days, we just don't have that ability to do that, especially with like what we're playing. It is very technical. It's kind of hard to focus on that and being um, interactive at the same time, like trying to be engaging.
yeah?
Which our answer was to bring in people specifically to be engaging, so that way we don't have to do it. They can do it.
I mean, you saw a problem and you found a solution. So
That's it.
yeah. Let's see. What have been some of your favorite like video game soundtracks, or even like a composer? Because since you guys are obviously covering video game music, I assume you have ones that you particularly like.
Mm, yeah.
I only know the songs. I don't even know who wrote them. I'll be honest. I know like two,
That's
maybe.
fine. Well, like,
Yeah.
what's some of your favorite like game soundtracks then?
Well, of course, the Zelda one. It's like
Yeah,
Oh,
great.
most of the Zelda ones are
I would
all.
say other than Breath of the Wild, they all have really good soundtracks. Because
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild is specifically going for like this minimalist thing,
Yeah.
so that's not what it was like. That I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for that game. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, like the N64 ones are all great. Um,
A Link to the Past is like
Oh,
the
jamming,
Past is
dude.
great. Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
king. Yeah, Koji back in the day was just unstoppable. Pretty much
yeah.
anything he did back in, if it's between 90 and like, like what, like late N64. I mean, I don't know how much of the GameCube stuff he was really involved in. I haven't really gotten to the point where we can break that stuff down yet.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like we're very much into like the NES, the Super Nintendo, N64 type stuff. We can get into Sega Genesis too.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of the newer stuff is hard for us to break down. But like to go back to your question though, like older soundtracks or soundtracks that are favorites, probably a lot of the stuff that we play. Like I like it. I like the F-Zero soundtrack. It's hard to find a bad song on it. You know. Um,
Sonic, even though we don't really touch it.
yeah,
It's a little weird, but
we haven't
I
really
love those
gotten into it.
songs. Yeah.
But yeah,
I
Sonic
was,
2, Unstoppable.
yeah, I was gonna say like, so since you guys have more of a musician's ear for this stuff, because I know the Genesis and Super Nintendo specifically had very different hardware, especially with their sound chips. So the
Hmm.
Genesis has a very distinct sound, I think, versus that's my technical term for it, versus Super Nintendo.
Okay.
It like, do you find that like maybe that was like it's harder to like translate that in your mind into like your own like musical, not like musical abilities, but like be doing like a way that like it makes sense for you to play.
Mm.
Based on just the tonality from the sound chip, like just from the hardware.
Yeah, just from
Um,
listening to those old songs, because you were saying like you mostly listen to the music and then like you then are able to translate it into music you can play.
so based on hardware alone, no, but they're like the main difference between like especially those two consoles is pretty evident. Like it makes me want to play some like Genesis stuff more. Like Sonic 2 was extremely punchy in a way that I don't think the Super Nintendo could ever could ever try to replicate. Like audio wise, I don't think it could bring that punchiness out. But like just hearing it would make you want to do it. But when
Yeah.
you look at it on paper, it's very difficult to do because when they wrote this stuff out originally, they didn't record it. You know what I mean? They didn't record it
Yeah.
like this anyway. They didn't like have somebody sit down in a studio, learn it, and play it. That's just not what they did. They wrote it, ran it through, ran it through whatever they ran it through, some sound fonts, and that's what you got. They ran like, depending on the console, anywhere from 4 to 16 tracks alongside of each other, and that's how they got the sounds they got. And it makes it difficult to try to break it up into like 3 strings and a set of drums.
Yeah, I guess what I was say, like they didn't think of it in terms of like people playing it as real music.
No,
Yeah.
no,
I'm
they didn't.
sure I'm sure they took their jobs seriously and wanted to make good music, but like I'm sure especially back in like the Famicom NES days, they weren't thinking like 40 years later people are gonna play music dressed as these characters on stage.
No, no, I
Yeah.
highly doubt that's what they were thinking.
Yeah.
No,
So is there so we mentioned like Sonic and stuff. Is there like any other series you guys would like to tackle that you haven't been able to yet?
mm, yeah, actually, give me 1 second. I have a list here. I have an entire list here. Oh, hang on.
No, it's no problem. I'll cut out the dead parts.
There you go. All right, now I have it open. Yeah, I have a massive list here. Let's see. I would love to get into some more.
I never seen this list.
Yeah, I'd love to get into some more Mario stuff because we haven't really touched it too much. Like just kind of here and there, and then we always get distracted. Um, some more Pokemon stuff would be cool. I mean, we've been getting into it pretty heavily lately, but like, there's a lot more to get into. A lot of Sonic, a lot of Zelda that we haven't touched.
I mean, I would be interested in hearing all of those things as they all have great music.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, what we end up doing is we just kind of like we take the Smash Bros. Roster, put it up on the wall, whatever. We kind of look at it like a character select screen. We pick one, and then we just kind of look at every game they've ever had,
Hmm.
and then we sit down with a notebook and listen to every song on those soundtracks, and we just kind of go down, and eventually it's just kind of like we might be able to do this one, and we write it down, or this one sounds really cool, we're definitely going to do this one and write it down, and we just made this massive list of like just this massive list of songs, and we've only gotten to a small percentage of them, but
Well, I mean, that's good. That means you've got material for years to come now.
for a long time. But what we ended up doing or what we ended up doing as well is we kind of got sidetracked because we started learning all these songs, and then like I kind of had a realization one day to the, to the detriment of everybody else, where I realized I was like, hey, some of these notes aren't right, and then I
Mhm.
went down this massive rabbit hole of trying to find like the perfect references for these songs to try to play them as close as possible. It got to the point where like we're like ripping, like I would take the ROMs from the cartridges, rip, the SPC files out. I was breaking them down, turning them into MIDI, converting them over to translate it into guitars, and it got wild. But I ended up doing that for almost a year. I had to do that to all the old stuff we were playing, and then
Mhm.
correct it, and then give it to everybody to relearn it again.
And it's like, wait, that's wrong now. Now you're doing it a third time.
I mean, did that work out? Like, is it better now, or do you at least have a system now where it's easier to translate that stuff into your guy's style?
It it opens up options for sure
Okay.
because now, like how I was saying, you have all those tracks anywhere from 4 to 16. Is now it puts us in a position where we can find out how they overlap, how they work, and we can make like tracks to fill in those gaps so it sounds more full now. Like now we're not missing some of the background stuff. Um, we haven't fully gotten into implementing that yet, but we're getting there now. Like now it's more obvious, and we know how to do it. We know what we're missing. We know what needs to be done. It's a lot of work to do.
Okay. And in addition to all of the, because that's so technical, my eyes just glazed over, and I don't understand any of that. I knew what a MIDI file was. I've heard of that,
Yeah,
but don't get me wrong. That's really cool. What you just said is some sort of concept to me.
that's about his reaction too.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand how to play music. The rhythm is a foreign concept to me. So all of that stuff sounds really cool. I'm sure one of our listeners knows exactly what you're talking about and is super into it.
And point out everything I was wrong about, or just oversimplify.
Yeah. So, but in addition to all this cool new music stuff, and like all of you guys have, since the last time I've seen you perform, which I think was at Too Many Games, maybe a couple of years ago. I haven't been
Okay.
to that since the pandemic. Um, but your your costumes have gone up a notch. You've been doing all this new music stuff. You said that, like, you've got Master Hand and Crazy Hand,
Yep.
like, so you're doing more crowd interaction things. But one of the more recent things you've done, and I've seen some of this stuff, is you guys are doing like a new merch line, which is pretty cool.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's been a massive work in progress. And that's been really cool. I'm excited for this to come out. It's going to be starting any day now.
Yeah. Are you allowed to talk a little bit about that? Like, I was kind of
We can,
wondering what your inspiration was for it.
we can talk about it.
Sure.
I can't show you anything, but I can talk about
Yeah.
it. Um yeah, so we started this new, it's like a set of it's like a set of Pokemon designs. They're really wicked. And it's kind of evolved. Like every week it's always changing.
No pun
It's getting
intended.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, it was good. I
Yeah.
didn't catch that
yeah,
either.
you got me there. That was good. Yeah, it's been getting like every week it gets more complicated about how we want to go about it because it's we could just take it. We could just put them online and say, "Here you go. We came out with new stuff, whatever." But we tried to, like everything else, we tried to gamify it a little bit. We tried to make it cool. So we have eight different designs that are coming out, and they're gonna start as soon as the website drops. Which we had our whole website just redone. We went through this whole massive like rebranding, new logos, new everything. Had new photos taken of everything. So as soon as that website drops, we're gonna start dropping them one by one. We're gonna start revealing these designs out for everybody to see for new shirts and all that. But what we decided to do is after we reveal all eight of them, we're going to we're gonna let we're gonna let anybody, fans, whatever, that want to vote on it. We're gonna let them decide what one starts getting printed first. Because for us to go and print all of them is just it's not realistic, especially with a massive set like this. So what we wanted to do is, the natural step is to do them one at a time, and we can't decide. So we want
Yeah.
to let everybody else decide. So we're gonna have this cool voting polling system up. We decided to make it like a tournament bracket, and we'll put them up probably for like a week at a time, maybe a little more. We'll see, and just let everybody vote, and we'll move like that. It's gonna be really wild.
Yeah, I know a little bit about it, and I'm pretty excited to see the final designs.
Yeah, you got a sneak peek on a couple.
I got a sneak peek, and like, I want the shirt. So if you guys have any ready for Free Comic Book Day, I will buy them. But I'm excited. I think people are gonna like it. Ideally, maybe we could carry them in the store at some point, but we'll talk. We'll have that conversation off mic. But I think it's cool, and I think it's gonna. I already know I just used the next level reference, but I think there'll be like another thing because then it's like it becomes like because the merch works on its own, regardless if you even know it's a band T-shirt.
Yep.
And I think that'll potentially bring you into like a wider. You can cast like a wider net of people that comes like into your guys like orbit. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
someone walks around with this really cool Pokemon shirt. I don't want to describe it more than that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, where'd you get that from? I got it from Super Thrash Brothers. And like, you mean Super Smash Brothers? And then I don't know.
Yeah. It's just another, another way to bring attention.
Yeah,
And like you said, it works really well on its own. So I mean, if nothing else, it just helps. It helps keep us going. It helps us move further, do cooler stuff. And I mean, it's not like, you get something cool out of it.
yeah,
That's the whole thing about it. It's really cool. So either way, you're getting something cool.
yeah. And I think doing it because yeah, I know it's really expensive to get that stuff printed. So I think doing it where people can vote on which ones they want, like that gives you a good idea for like how much to also order. So I think that's a good idea for a lot of reasons. But it'll be fun to see. I'm a big fan of like data and data sets. So I'm interested to see who like
Oh yeah.
how they break down percentage wise with popularity.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think I could guess which will probably be the two finalists, but I don't know. I haven't seen all the designs. I just kind of have an idea of what they're going to be.
Mm.
But I hope I'm surprised because I could be. But I'm really excited for people to start seeing them. So I wanted to kind of have an opportunity for us to tease it here.
Oh yeah. You keep your eyes open. We're gonna put them. Hopefully any day now. We're gonna start revealing them out one at a time, and then it's gonna be on our website on superthrashbros.com. It's gonna be on our Facebook. It's gonna be on our Instagram. We're gonna drop them on YouTube. So these reveals are gonna start dropping out
Yeah.
everywhere to see them. And then
And once they start dropping, I'll reshare them and stuff on our social media too.
Appreciate it. Yeah, they'll be everywhere.
Well, guys, thank you for giving me your time.
Hmm.
I really appreciate it. One of the fun things about doing these like little podcast interviews in the lead up to Free Comic Book Day, is the day is so busy. I never get a chance to talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we've been to this event a few times, like I never got to sit down and talk to anyone.
Yeah, it's
And
always so busy.
yeah, and it's been fun like getting to know some of the people that come to these things.
Hmm.
So I really appreciate it. And anything else you want people to know about? We plugged the website. You did say superthrashbrothers.com.
Yeah, that's it. Super
Yeah,
Thrash
and then
Bros.
from there, I've got, even though it's under construction, I've got it up in front of me.
Yeah.
I think you've got all your social media links already ready to go.
Oh yeah, I'm sure somebody does. That's
Yeah.
that's not my department. That's somebody has that ready somewhere. I'm sure.
Spoken like a true band guy. Like I got somebody, I pay somebody to handle all of that.
Yes, it's not
You
my
guys
job.
just focus on the art and the craft.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah, we started bringing in a lot of people to handle all that other stuff, so we don't have to do that.
Yeah, which is also very exciting for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, people that are good at that stuff.
Yeah, maybe that's why things like have gone so another levels. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I got a marketing person in.
That's
not
it.
that you guys did bad before, but it's noticeable step up, which is exciting because I like you guys and we want to support y'all, and it's fun to see like local people kind of like become successful in the art that they've chosen to do.
Yeah.
Shows people from Jersey aren't all people from Long Island, on MTV.
No.
But yeah,
Mhm.
I can't believe the Jersey Shore show is back. I don't want to get off on a tangent.
Is it really?
Yeah, I started seeing ads for it. Like, what am I? All right, so this is a little off topic, but did you guys ever go to Ozfest?
Once.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I only been once too, but apparently before Ozzy comes on, he would do like a video thing where he's like superimposed into movies and TV shows from that year. And the year I was there, we were I forget because they changed the name of that place so many times. But it was in the one on the in Camden, where you got like the big grassy
Stuff
scene.
Banana Bank Center.
Yeah. But like he did one where he was in the Jersey Shore cast. Remember, the whole audience just booed the entire time. It was really funny. But that was the year like Avatar came out because he did an Avatar one. That's the only other one I remember from it. But
Oh wow.
it's just watching everyone like turn immediately because the Jersey Shore character showed up in Jersey. Like that was pretty funny. But again, thanks for your guys' time.
Oh, for sure. I appreciate you
But
having us. It's nice.
Yeah, we'll see you on May 6th.
Yeah, we'll be there.
All right, thanks everyone. Have a good night.